It's noon already and we are good to go. Someone might still join us, but let's use our Friday lunch break in an inspiring way. And I'm very happy to announce the In4Act seminar series, our already traditional Friday research seminar series. Myself, I'm an In4Act researcher, Monica Petraite, and our key speaker for today is Professor Mantas Vilkas, also our In4Act researcher. I think we've been doing this exercise for already a second year, and this is the last seminar in the spring season. So please enjoy, ask the questions. We are going to resume in September. But I think now when the topics are really getting hot, because we moved through our seminars from quite theoretical to very empirical hands-on approaches as the In4Act results are accumulating, and we are putting together our core messages for the industrial community, for research community, and also for policy community. So without wasting much of time, please feel free to post your questions if you have any as the presentation goes in the chat box, or save them after the presentation is ended. We will have some time for discussion. And I believe that even if spring does its own job, we have less participants than in our winter seminars. But nevertheless, this is a chance to have very open, deep, and mind-opening discussion. So Mantas, floor is yours. We are very much looking forward to look at the Industry 4.0 capabilities in Lithuania, 360 degrees. I think these are the newest data that Mantas is going to present about the Industry 4.0 progress in Lithuania, the general overview. So really inspiring. Thank you. Thank you for preparing this talk.
Thank you, Monica, for the warm introduction. And it's really rather new data. The data was collected in 2022 December. So more or less, it's about several months old. And I'm going to talk today, as Monica said, about Industry 4.0 technologies and capabilities in Lithuania. And of course, I have to mention that this research is rather a collaborative one. I'm here presenting the results, presenting some models that we developed, but however, a lot of persons have been involved in this research. And you see the list of my colleagues that actually been part of either the questionnaire design, either the data collection, either the data analysis of different parts. So once again, it was not be possible without all this huge team that contributed to this presentation. So the aims of my presentation actually are multifold. I'm going to discuss different aspects of Industry 4.0 capabilities diffusion in Lithuania. In particular, I'm going to discuss how Industry 4.0 technologies and digital transformation related capabilities are prevalent in Lithuania, especially among manufacturing, specifically among manufacturing companies. How do these digital technologies and soft managerial capabilities interrelate between each other? Does all companies develop soft capabilities? Again, it's also a very important question, as we have a lot of digital technology. So which sequence of digital technology adoption would constitute a generic digital transformation roadmap? And finally, I'm going to touch about effects of digital technologies and the digitalization capabilities. which are affecting the business performance. How we are affecting business performance, if this effect is linear or rather a complex one and non-linear. So once again, I'm going to concentrate only on Lithuanian manufacturing sector, and this is a very important sector. We have around 8,000 registered companies, but we could expect that the effective population is about 5,000 companies, which is a lot in my opinion. It contributes about 22% to Lithuanian GDP. About 20% of Lithuanian working population is employed in this sector, and it's actually this sector is very important to current account balance because about 65% of all output is exported. Well, once again, I'm going to provide a rather synoptic account, not a synoptic account of Lithuanian manufacturing sector digitalization. And if you are from particular company, your personal experience could be a bit different ones, because we have rather a complex manufacturing sector as well as different size companies. So more or less my presentation will reflect that the trends in all the population of manufacturing companies, and which experience I will generalize the experience of all manufacturing sector. Well, so how we started this research? As we want to understand quite deeply the processes of digitalization in manufacturing sector. So we started with this actually conceptual model. We've been not particular interest only in digital technologies, however, as well as on transformation management capabilities, resource related capabilities, as well as servitization, supply chain, and of course operating system related capabilities. So as you see, we've been probing and surveying Lithuanian manufacturing companies, trying to understand, do we possess digital transformation management capabilities? What are their extent? Do we actually, how we feel about the resources related to digitalization within their companies? And of course, we surveyed this hardcore of digitalization, more or less the spread of various digital technologies across the product, across the operating system, and across the supply chain. So that's why I call this presentation a 360-degree outlook, because it concentrates not only to digital technologies as usually we see, but as well as captures this transformation management and the resource related capability. Well, the survey was quite extensive and quite expensive. We surveyed 506 companies, and to get the 506 responses, we had to survey, as you see, 2,390 companies refused to answer the survey. So it's quite extensive survey which we are talking now, and I'm talking about results of it. Well, the survey rather well represents the regions of Lithuania. So we have not concentrated only on certain regions, but tried to cover all Lithuania, as well as the survey actually represents very well the different subsectors of Lithuanian manufacturing, again providing us such a cross-sectional view of all the sector. And in this case, we concentrated more on SMEs. Most of Lithuanian manufacturing companies are very small, 1 to 9 employees. However, we put more emphasis on this 10 to 40, 10 to 50 employees companies, because they actually are among the most vibrant and most important for us as well. So SMEs was more or less the focus of this survey. How the survey was implemented. So we actually had this, as you saw, this conceptual model. Well, so we took these discerning capabilities, and we prompted at least 3 questions per capability. For example, we tried to measure the digitalization capability building competences. So we asked the company, well, do your managerial team prepares digital and updates the digitalization strategy plan or roadmap? Do you set the digitalization goals? Do you manage the risks? And companies could answer these questions, and you see our interpretation, at least for this presentation. Regarding more digital technologies, we actually again probed for certain use cases within these categories of technologies. For example, as per machine learning AI solutions in manufacturing, we asked more or less 3 most prevalent use cases of machine learning among manufacturing companies. That is control of quality through image recognition, product demand forecasting, and predictive maintenance. Do the companies actually use these use cases among their activities? So, well, this was an introduction, how we designed that conceptual model, what's the sample of the survey, and again, how the survey was implemented. And I'm going to the next phase. I'm going to share some descriptive statistics about the prevalence of various digital technologies and digitalization technologies. So first, I would like to start on skills. Well, as the digitalization actually, it's a very multidisciplinary story. However, IT specialists and math, statistics, data scientists, specialists, of course, play an important role in this story. So first we asked, do you have any IT or data science specialists in your company? Well, as we see actually that about 60% of companies don't have IT. And about 20% of companies have one IT, and 8% of companies have 2 IT engineers as such. Well, again, companies actually don't have 83% don't have any statistics specialist at their premises. Well, about only 6.5% have one data science specialist at their premises. However, as we ask about the skills, do we have enough necessary skills, for example, data science or IT? Well, so 45% say that actually we are sufficient for their present needs, as well as integration skills are rather sufficient. So more or less about 50% of companies, we are very somehow we trust their skills regarding IT and data science and integration, as well as digitalization project management, which is an interesting finding. And we will later maybe interpret I'll expand a bit more about this finding. So what about the soft capabilities? What about those transformation management or digitalization management capabilities within the companies? Again, here we have I'm interpreting the results based on the mean, and we have a 5-point scale. So what's above 3? I would interpret it as above average. Well, as below 3, again, it's below average, and 1, 2 would constitute the weak skills in certain area. As you see, more or less, again, companies report the above average their soft capabilities related as per supportive organizational culture, change management competency, digitalization capability building, and digitalization readiness assessment competency. Well, the a little bit weaker one is digitalization capability building competency, which includes preparation of digitalization plan, establishing the digitalization goals, risk management, and again we have this lower number of external support sensing acquisition, which includes more or less seeking government support, seeking external training, seeking external digitalization audits. Well, again, for me it's a bit surprising, but companies report above the average information and digital technology expertise and financial capital availability for digitalization. Well, so it seems that companies devote certain amounts for digitalization, and on average these numbers, the means of these numbers reflect on above the average strength and in terms of information and digital technology expertise and financial capital availability. Well, so such a situation regarding the soft aspects of the companies, of the digitalization management or transformation management capabilities that they possess. So now let's look more on the hard side. Let's look about the diffusion of the digital technologies which are related to different aspects of organization. So first I will start with the software augmentation cluster of technologies, which includes very different digital technologies that usually augment organizational processes while achieving their objectives. First, we surveyed the intelligent production planning and control technologies related to this cluster of technology. And as we see, we have about 25% of companies reporting that we use ERP for production planning of control. But about 40% of companies are able to identify the progress of order and integrate different functions electronically, such as manufacturing and accounting, sales and design, design and manufacturing. So I would expect that more or less 25% have a classic ERP system. However, others have some kind of the proprietary solutions for such means. Further, we also see that about 40% actually use the CNC control manufacturing equipment, and about 45% employ computer-aided design solutions, such as the software for digital design. Well, why I made this red ones in this slide? I think that these are extremely important. The ERP, the electronic manufacturing equipment, as well as computer-aided design, these constitute a core on which all our digital solutions are built on. Well, in some sense, I would think that these numbers are weak numbers, because we cannot expect a spread of our digital solutions rather extensively if companies don't have this core on which we can build more sophisticated and more advanced digital solutions. And again, in the slide, you see that actually about 20% of companies achieve the paperless manufacturing, in that sense that no documents are moving through the manufacturing process as such. So it's still very difficult to be 100% electronic, and still some papers are moving around on the shop floor. Regarding the automation technologies, you see these numbers, and we have to interpret these numbers in the context of Lithuanian manufacturing, which produces on a small batches mostly. Lithuanian manufacturing companies have a high product mix capability. Well, so maybe these numbers would be low in some mass manufacturing countries as China. However, taking into account the Lithuanian context, I see them rather predictable as such. And again, as per fully automated lines, which more reflect the food chemical industry, as well as includes that vision of connected manufacturing company, of Industry 5.0 vision of connected company. We see here again some up to third companies employ one or another aspect of such digital technologies. Very important thing is to have the real-time information on the performance as related to the inventory and as related to manufacturing. Well, so we can see that companies are very well known their levels of raw materials inventory and finished goods inventory. About 2/3 of companies actually have this information on more or less real-time basis, and this shortens and simplifies, of course, the production a lot, because you always can check what's your current situation. A bit less companies use various digital solutions related to real-time control of manufacturing, such as have automatic data on the work center or production lines performance, or we can automatically evaluate their downtime or setup times or run times of their manufacturing processes. Again, these are lower percents, because real-time control of manufacturing actually contributes to the performance of manufacturing companies a lot. Finally, and the final descriptive part regarding the spread of digital technologies relates analytic technologies, such as machine learning and AI solutions. Well, here we have rather only I will call it an inception of the use of these different types of machine learning, simulation, and other more advanced digital technologies across the manufacturing processes of the companies. As we see, we have about only 3.8% of companies that employ machine learning solutions for estimating the demand, for managing the quality control, or using it for the predictive maintenance of equipment. Well, again, we see that these more recent, more complex technologies are only at the beginning stage of the usage. Companies have a wide area here for their improvement, as well as consulting companies had a lot of area for providing such solutions for population of manufacturing companies. We reviewed these varied soft and hard technologies within the companies. I will summarize somehow referring to it as a digitalization roadmap, which can provide some kind of a process how the companies could employ these various digital technologies and soft capabilities. As we see, we have more or less above the average perception of manufacturing companies of their transformation digitalization management capabilities. And we have a rather mixed situation related use cases of digital technologies within companies. So as we've been talking certain technologies constitute a core on which more or less other digital technologies are built, and low numbers here limits the growth of and the diffusion of all other technologies within the company. So I would expect that this core of technologies are going to somehow that more attention will be directed to this core, which would allow companies later to expand on the core and embracing more sophisticated digital solutions. Again, it shouldn't be understood like first managerial capabilities, then digital technologies. It doesn't happen in such a way. It's some kind of, they are mutually constituted. The more digital technologies you employ, the higher are your soft digitalization management capabilities, if you, of course, are able to keep the talents who helped you to deploy these digital technologies within a company for a longer time. All right, so let's look at this relationship of these soft and hard technologies, and the soft and hard as a digital technology. So let's take those digital technologies on y-axis, and let's include in those digital technologies very different types of them related to the operating system, the digitalization. And on x-axis, let's take these soft digitalization management capabilities, and let's see if there is a rather relationship which should be visible in simple scatter plot, as we see. So each dot there is a company, and we see that more or less there is a rather visible trend that the higher the soft capabilities, the more digital technologies companies employ. And based on this scatter plot, we can think of several types of the companies that we have in our manufacturing population. So first of all, we have these lagging companies that have weak digitalization management capabilities and employ few digital technologies. Of course, these are troubling companies because their perspectives at the current moment are rather gloom. Later, we have these high potential companies. We report strong soft capabilities, but we haven't employed many digital technologies so far. Well, it could happen. It seems that these companies still don't pay a lot of attention to digitalization as such. However, we develop strong soft capabilities, maybe due their history as such. The soft change management, transformation management capabilities could be gained by implementing other managerial organizational technologies such as lean, sustainable management technologies, or other. So I would call these high potential companies that actually have a high potential of digitalization. Well, on the right top, we see the internal capability-oriented companies that have employed digital technologies extensively, and we have a strong transformation management soft capabilities. So these companies are, I think, front runners. It's good to see rather a lot of dots here representing companies. I trust that these companies are well positioned in this competition of the digitalization. And finally, we have some companies that have a low soft capabilities, but strong, but employed rather many digitalization solutions, digital technologies. I would call them maybe outsourcing oriented companies, because maybe these are relying more on outsourcing while digitizing their operations. However, as we see, we don't have a big cluster of such companies here, and more or less all others are spread through either a lagging or high potential or internal capability oriented areas of these graphs. All right, so we've been talking about the diffusion of these digital technologies, about the relationship of soft and hard capabilities of organization. So maybe it's time to talk a bit about the benefits of digitalization. Do companies report some benefits? And I will use such constructs as investments into digitalization. We actually asked company to rate on the scale of 7, are these high or low? And also we ask companies to report, again, perceptually, do we have high or low benefits on the scale of 7 due to digitalization? So about only 10% treat their investments into the digitalization as above average high. So more or less companies feel that we underperform with the investments. Of course, we all, I think, feel like that. So what about the benefits of digitalization? And we separated the benefits in several types. First, as a direct revenue enhancement, for example, you are due to some complex services or servitization, which is enabled by the digitalization, or you can experience the benefits due to indirectly, because due to implementation of digital technologies, you have improved your competitive advantage, and it allows you to maybe attract more customers, and you expanding your market share because of digitalization. And finally, we have this cost savings that, of course, digital technologies can lead to the cost savings. So as we see here, that about 26% of companies report average and above average impact of investments on direct revenue enhancement. A little bit more companies feel more indirect effect of digital technologies. And as we see, about 40% of companies report the effect which because of the cost savings. So as we can expect that investments into the digitalization, at least as perceived by companies, have the most impact of cost savings and less impact so far on the direct and indirect revenue enhancement. Well, I would invite you to estimate a bit, to estimate, for example, on the aggregate level, overall, does the digital technologies as such affect this revenue enhancement? Digital technologies and digitalization management capabilities, do we affect the revenue enhancement on the aggregated level? Because we have a lot of these digital solutions, and some could affect positively. However, some could require a lot of investment. Yeah, and we can just be extremely cost intensive, as we think, for example, about augmented reality or cobots. So experimentation with these technologies could be rather cost intensive. So let's take a look on this effect on the aggregate level, and later let's look on this effect on the particular digital technologies level. So we can later then can identify which particular digital technologies have a positive or negative effect on revenue enhancement. Well, so let's go to the aggregate level first. Well, we had this model. We have these digital technologies that I presented for you, these augmentation related digital technologies, real-time, automation related, and analytic technology. So we more or less capture here about, I don't know, 25 different use cases or different 25 different technologies under one construct. So it reflects those 25 as a one construct. Well, we then have this digitalization management construct, which again reflects different transformation management related capabilities, such as change management, resource presence, external support, and others. And we have our dependent variable. Well, what we see, it's very interesting and exciting that on average, if we take into account all 25 digital technologies, we cannot find a direct effect on revenue enhancement through digitalization. So it seems that some technologies could be extremely affected positively, but some could be cost intensive, and these effects could flatten as such in general, and it could directly, we don't find this effect as such. However, we see that it's a very strong effect. The more you employ digital technologies, the higher is your digitalization management capability. And the higher the digitalization management capability, the stronger the digitalization management, the stronger is the revenue enhancement through digitalization. So I would interpret that on the very aggregate level, actually digital technologies are in such a sense don't provide a competitive advantage as such. Why? Because we are, especially in the cloud era as we have now, it's rather easy to use them. What makes sense is it's organizational capabilities to use them, and these are more talents related capabilities that are important for revenue enhancement through digitalization. Those people that make use of the technologies, those people that are able to innovate around them for the cost reduction, indirect revenue enhancement, and direct revenue enhancement. Well, maybe this sounds like a common sense. However, it's a lot of emphasis is on digital technologies, and still in the press is a lot of less emphasis on this management, digitalization management capabilities. Well, so let's look on the other hand on particular level. So which digital technologies influence the revenue enhancement through digitalization? So we are now not on aggregate, but more on the particular level. Well, so we see that digitalization readiness competency is the important one. Supportive organizational culture is the important one. Again, the applying externally, involving other companies, using external funds, doing digitalization audits external, which provide other opinion, is important. Digital customer support, such as customer relationship management or web shops, also contribute positively to revenue enhancement. And finally, we have the real-time tracking of manufacturing. So as looking through the specific technologies level, I would recommend making more stress on these particular technologies and managerial competences, which across all the population seems to be working and positively affecting revenue enhancement through digitalization. All right, so the final one that I wanted to share with you is if the investments into digitalization affect the firm performance, which we measured the business and environmental performance. Well, first we see that investments actually into digitalization actually affect extremely positively the revenue enhancement through digitalization. So the more you invest, the higher is your revenue enhancement. It's non-linear relationship, it's inverted as shape. However, it's still a very positive one. As we look, if the revenue enhancement through digitalization translates into firm performance, we have not so positive picture. We see that in the beginning, the revenues generated through digitalization actually impact firm performance positively. However, then the effects flattens out, and only after some threshold it starts increasing exponentially. So what happens actually? What happens? We would speculate that first companies introduce several well-targeted digital innovations that provide extremely great returns. However, later, as we invest more into digitalization, we feel more and more skill shortages. We feel that we are lacking of these soft digitalization capabilities. We begin to hurry. We experience the time compression diseconomies, information overload as such in this area as we expand investing into digitalization. And this second stage is marked as RAFA flat, that more or less the revenues that still are accumulated, they are not translated into the firm performance. And why are we not translated into the positive firm performance? I would propose, I don't know, I would propose that this happens because of a digitalization reinvestment cycle. You experience the additional revenue, so you save money due to cost reduction and so on. But all these additional revenues are reinvested into digitalization. So digitalization is not cost-free. You have to employ as well as the talents, as well as the software, which changes fast. You have to create at least minimum infrastructure, hardware infrastructure. Again, you have to take worry about cybersecurity and other issues. So it's not free as such. Also, all the cost savings at this stage are reinvestment into the digitalization as such. And only in the third stage, after certain threshold, companies start feeling the revenue enhancement through digitalization start translating into firm performance, as such. So to conclude, companies report above average soft capabilities, but I would expect that they overrate these capabilities because less complex digital technologies have been adopted so far. As companies will start with more advanced ones, analytic ones, we will feel a lot more. I think we will feel less strong about their soft capabilities. The adoption of digital technologies always can be better. However, this core still worries a bit. ERP, CNC equipment, and computer-aided design software, this core worries, and more research and more surveys is required to understand better this ERP situation. Maybe it could be a bit higher than we found due to maybe misunderstanding or something. So more research needed here to understand the true situation among the population manufacturing companies. Well, the main benefits as reported is a cost reduction with indirect effects and direct effects. And the value of digital technologies is manifested through soft digitalization management capabilities. So I would propose that somehow finding and keeping employees with skills of digitalization management is essential within every company. And finally, you don't have to expect such a straightforward increase on your firm performance due to digitalization, because many studies report non-linear relationship of digitalization and business performance, and our study confirms this tendency, and especially that we find that its effects on business performance starts swiftly, then flattens, and eventually contributes significantly due to different mechanisms that drive these relationship within companies. So I think that I've shared some results of our collaborative work that been possible due to involvement of I know about 10 colleagues that helped me to somehow within this to report you this this story involving themselves in different aspects. And I will pass the floor to Monica.
Well, thank you, Mantas, for a very informative presentation. I think we had a lot of food for thought, and many questions at least are turning in my head. But I see that we have I would say very high levels of sophistication audience, and everybody who has joined has really great expertise in both in industry digitalization and researching digitalization. So I would really invite the audience to participate in the discussion and to raise the questions. And if I don't see anybody coming into light, because then maybe I will just start like an opening question, but I really would love everybody to be active in here. So like from also your resuming findings, my question is, and the feeling is that, okay, companies, they are really understanding, even if lacking maybe funding and some kind of resources, the benefits of digitalization towards the efficiency of manufacturing. So how we can save more, how we can be more efficient, how we can have less deficiencies and some kind of quality issues while applying digital technologies. However, it seems that like a second level of competencies, more like a strategic vision or like a true digital transformation, how can I actually capture value from digitalization, apart of cost savings, which could be also critically important. Of course, if you can save about 30% of your costs, you are in completely different level of competitiveness, right? But then still coming back to that, like capturing value of digitization through innovation. So what kind of skills and how we can really move to that next level? And I talk now about this upper right quadrant of companies that are already sophisticated, like the leaders, the role models. What needs to be done that we can really build that roadmap towards that kind of next level?
Actually, companies learn to change by changing. Actually, there is no other way. You cannot get this experience somehow externally, more or less. So companies learn to change by changing. So the story goes that the more you innovate, the more you innovate around digital technologies, the more digital solutions adopt, the more digitalization management skills you develop, and the more digitalization resources, the more digitalization capabilities become mature as such. What is important, however, that not all somehow pathways for digitalization are equally maybe fast. This is what is more important. I don't think that this, for example, it's extremely wise to start from AI solutions in manufacturing. Because certain could be implemented, but again, this is rather these analytic technologies are rather complex ones and require rather extensive skills. So, well, still, I think that this roadmap, as we see here, starting from some core technologies, taking care, creating some kind of a digitized heart of the company, which is based on design and ERP software and CNC equipment, because still many Lithuanian companies use old style manufacturing equipment which does not collect data, does not store data, couldn't be processed for other purposes. Well, so I think that this software augmentation that we have to start from then creates the context for next steps, rather a good one. The next step would be the real time. Working on real time information collection and interpretation capabilities. That could again be a very logical step based on already on your digitized heart, because you already have all the clicks are saved in your ERP software, and you already digitized more or less the main operations of your company. The third step would be well, maybe then there is a kind of a fork. You can go either to automation technologies, either to analytic technologies, which are more relevant for you, depending on your industry. Maybe some continuous processes companies would invest more into automation, and maybe others more into analytic solutions. So the more you implement, the better are your transformation management capabilities. But which ones you implement, this precedence, this is an important thing as such.
Thank you, Mantas. I think it's very informative answer, and it gives kind of thinking and discussion guidelines for both for manufacturing enterprises and for those who are in a support cohort to hasten digitalization in Lithuania, in particular, in understanding this particular road, and especially starting point and the diversity of I would say the demographics of the companies that we have at our hands. But we have a very curiosity question from Andrus, who definitely asks about aha moments. So what are the most surprising findings for the Lithuanian from the Lithuanian firms in the survey? So what's your message? What's your aha moment?
I live in the bubble. Everyone around me is talking about generative AI, and I usually think that I expect that all companies are using generative AI and AI solutions and so on. So, so in my bubble, digital technologies are very widely adopted and spread. However, my wow moment was maybe I was also a bit more concentrated on rather those technologies as such, well, and paid less attention on those soft things. Again, it's not new that actually the managerial capabilities that are built around the technologies are what matters. So history, in some sense, repeating here in the context of digitalization. However, as personally, me, as maybe all over us, also I've been concentrated more on the diffusion of technologies as such, paying less attention on the managerial skills to employ these capabilities and innovate around them.
Well, thank you. I see one question in the chat box. I see some participants coming live. So if you have questions, just go ahead about some of the discussion points that you would like to cover. While Mantas is also reading the Inga's question. Because what Inga's concern is that maybe there was insufficient investment in some of the digital technologies, so they couldn't produce the relevant returns, and investigated organizations on average were not demonstrating good return on investment on digital technologies. I'm just translating it into more like the common language, but in every single case, maybe you found some extremums which showed strong positive relationships with impact on revenue. Like not the if we would take extremums, not the average. Like how would the picture change? Were there any good cases where there was high return on investment on digital technologies demonstrated from your survey?
I think that the results are rather valid. I mean, we treated those, we measured those investments and revenue enhancement on an ordinal scale, 1 to 7. So there is no outliers in or extreme values in such a case. It's rather on an ordinal scale. Also, the variation is rather enough. Of course, it's very difficult to expect to measure the effect of, for example, AI solutions if only 3.5% have employed the solution. However, even this is possible using some bootstrapping procedure. Well, so I think the variation is rather enough to estimate those relationships. Again, because they've been measured on some ordinal scale, some these extreme values, it's difficult to interpret them as an extreme. Well, so we found a nonlinear effect, inverted S-shaped effect between those variables that we studied, and eventually our research more or less contributes to the more or less expanding evidence that there is no linear relationship of digitalization on performance. There is a complex relationship, more or less. Most of the studies that actually look for curvilinearity in their regressions, that most of the studies that actually try to see, we found that complex nonlinear relationships binding digitalization and firm performance.
Thank you. I keep inviting to raise questions. Egidijus, you are on mute. Would you like to ask something?
Yeah, I would be a bit interested in these supply chain related things in terms of digitalization. There were quite, I think, high values, high proportions of companies who are already implementing, as I understood, is their way in the picture to things on the bottom right, yeah, as we saw. So how you maybe think and how you know from the research how Lithuania stands in this perspective compared to maybe other neighboring countries? I don't know. Is partner related as you measured, and
actually I haven't been so far extremely interested in these supply chain related elements, and no one has explored them more deeply about their effect with soft capabilities, with their effect with digital capabilities, with other digital technologies, or their effect on the business or performance or revenue enhancement. What I have here only these frequencies and not more. And it's a blank spot, and the data can be used to explore this area more precisely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Very last chance for the very last question. It's 1 p.m. We are kind of closing time. If none, then maybe Mantas, just in resuming. So what would be the policy implications for continuation of digitization of Lithuanian manufacturing industry companies, especially with the focus on SMEs, because this is the majority. So we really need to think about the specific context of SMEs. So what would be your couple of advices?
Digitalization is a complex endeavor in which IT engineers, data science specialists, as well as business and engineers participate together. What we are lacking are those IT, data science, and those business analysts, those with managerial education, but with a good understanding of management and information systems and having strong statistical skills. So again, we cannot expect the huge increase of IT scientists or data scientists because as Andrews always says, it's a difficult area. It's difficult to learn here. What we can change is, because many students are actually studying the social sciences, is to achieve that the students that finish social sciences we finish the sciences with a strong statistical and management information system skills. So this is achievable. We have to somehow orient to that with all the social sciences education, and this would help companies a lot, especially small companies that could use all these graduates and involve them into digitalization of process.
Well, thank you. And I just to add on, I believe that especially those that are in business and management studies, because this is the capabilities that are essential to move the progress. So I think the change in the skill set for those cohort of fresh graduates and upskilling the existing ones is of critical importance for the future. Well, time flew enormously fast. I think the topic is amazing, and thank you, Mantas, for really informative, dynamic, and also very resourceful presentation. Lots of questions to move on, to discuss, to go deeper in practice and in theory. And yeah, so enjoy your Friday. And we are closing, as I said in the beginning, our spring season. And welcome everybody back to In4Act seminars as the autumn resumes in September. So thank you very much for very active and also very constructive participation. Thanks a lot. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Monica. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.